Welcome to Pam Jammer's Magical Tales. We post new stories every week, so be sure to subscribe, like, and share to stay updated. If you'd like to support the channel, see sequels, vote on upcoming stories, or even request a custom tale, check out my Patreon. Every bit of support helps bring more magical stories to life. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Caring Cousins Part 1. Chapter 1, The Bus to Fargo. The morning air was crisp, the kind that bit at your cheeks and made your breath fog in front of you. Patrick stood in the driveway, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his boots scuffing against the gravel. The farmhouse loomed behind him, its peeling paint and sagging porch a testament to years of hard work and even harder winters. His family had gathered to see him off, their faces a mix of pride, sadness, and the quiet understanding that this was something he needed to do. His mom pulled him into a tight hug, her hands gripping his shoulders like she was trying to memorize the feel of him. "You call me when you get there," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "And you behave yourself. Jennifer's been good to you, and I expect you to return the favor." Pat nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I will, Mom." His dad clapped him on the back, his calloused hand rough but warm. "You're a good kid, Pat. Don't forget where you came from." "I won't," Pat promised. His siblings teased him one last time, calling him a city boy and warning him about the dangers of Fargo. But beneath the jokes, there was love. They knew he didn't belong on the farm, just as much as he did. The drive to the bus station was quiet. His dad hummed along to the old country station on the radio, and Pat stared out the window, watching the endless fields blur into a sea of green and gold. He thought about his cousin Jennifer. She was older, confident, worldly, unafraid. She'd left Stanley, North Dakota years ago, and she'd never looked back. When they pulled into the small bus station, Pat's stomach twisted with nerves. His dad helped him unload his bag, then pulled him into a quick, rough hug. "Take care of yourself, son." Pat nodded, his throat tight. "I will." As the bus pulled away, Pat pressed his forehead against the glass, watching his family shrink in the distance. He was really doing this. He was leaving. The bus was half empty, the hum of the engine and the occasional chatter of other passengers filling the silence. Pat settled into a window seat, his duffel bag tucked between his feet. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through old messages from Jennifer. "Can't wait to see you, Patty. We're going to have so much fun." Pat smiled, his fingers lingering on the screen. He'd always had a crush on her, but he'd never told her. How could he? She was his cousin, his friend. But that didn't stop him from wondering what it would be like to be closer to her, to be taken care of by her. His mind drifted as the bus rumbled down the highway. He imagined Jennifer's house in Fargo, what it must look like, how it must feel. She'd run a daycare there, before it had been shut down. He wondered why. Had she done something wrong? Or was it just bad luck? Either way, he was glad she'd asked him to stay with her. He'd always felt comfortable around her, like he could be himself. And then there was the secret he'd never told anyone, not even Jennifer. The one that had haunted him for years. He'd always been curious about diapers. It was a comfort thing. The idea of being wrapped up, snug and secure, had always appealed to him. He'd never actually tried one on, though. Never had the courage. But now, staying with Jennifer, in a house that used to be a daycare. Maybe he'd finally get the chance. He shifted in his seat, his face warming at the thought. What if she had diapers in his size? What if she caught him? The idea was both terrifying and thrilling. The bus ride seemed to stretch on forever, but finally, the skyline of Fargo came into view. Pat pressed his face against the window, his heart pounding. He was really here. He was really doing this. As the bus pulled into the station, he pulled out his phone, typing a quick message to Jennifer. "Just got to Fargo." Her reply was almost instant. "Can't wait, Patty. See you soon." Pat grabbed his bag and stood, his legs shaky with anticipation. He stepped off the bus, the cold air hitting him like a slap. Fargo was bigger than he'd imagined, taller buildings, more people, more noise. It was everything he'd dreamed of. Pat took a deep breath, his fingers tightening around the strap of his bag. He was here. He was really here. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Chapter 2, Welcome to Fargo. The Fargo bus depot was quiet at night, the hum of fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, casting a sterile glow over the nearly empty waiting area. Pat stepped off the bus, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his breath visible in the crisp autumn air. He scanned the parking lot, his heart skipping when he spotted her pulling in. Jennifer got out of her van, a bright smile spreading across her face. She was dressed in a high-waisted dress, the fabric a cheerful shade of yellow with tiny white polka dots. The dress hugged her curves, accentuating her slender waist and the gentle flare of her hips. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she walked toward him, her auburn hair cascading in soft waves over her shoulders. She looked like the kind of woman who belonged in a classroom, surrounded by children's artwork and storybooks, warm, approachable, and effortlessly put together. Pat barely had time to set his bag down before she pulled him into a tight hug. His face pressed against her chest, the soft fabric of her dress muffling his voice as he murmured, "Hey, Jen." Jennifer laughed, her arms wrapping around him like a second skin. "Patty," she cooed, her voice thick with affection. "You're finally here." Pat breathed her in, vanilla and something floral, a scent that was uniquely her. He'd forgotten how much taller she was than him, how easily she could envelop him in her arms. For a moment, he let himself melt into the embrace, the stress of the journey dissolving in her warmth. Jennifer helped him load his luggage into the back of the van, which was a little messy, empty coffee cups, a scattered pile of children's books, and a half-eaten granola bar wrapper on the dashboard. Pat climbed into the passenger seat, buckling his seatbelt as Jennifer slid behind the wheel. She turned the key in the ignition, and the engine roared to life. "You have no idea how happy I am that you're here," she said, pulling out of the parking lot with a little more speed than necessary. Pat gripped the edge of his seat, his knuckles turning white. Jennifer had always been an aggressive driver, talking with her hands and pressing the gas pedal like it owed her money. "You're gonna love it here," she continued, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. "Fargo's got so much to offer. And now that I've got all this free time, I can show you around." Pat glanced at her, taking in the way her dress rode up slightly as she shifted gears, revealing the smooth curve of her knee. He swallowed hard, forcing his eyes back to the road. "Sounds great." Jennifer chattered on about the city, her hands gesturing wildly as she spoke. "The downtown area is adorable. There's this little cafe by the river that you're going to love. And the parks. Oh, Patty, you're going to adore the parks." Pat nodded, his mind drifting as he watched the streetlights blur past. Fargo at night was a mix of shadows and neon, storefronts glowing softly, the occasional car passing by, the distant hum of traffic. It was nothing like the farm, where the only sounds at night were crickets and the wind. "You're not even listening to me, are you?" Jennifer teased, nudging his arm. Pat didn't respond. Jennifer laughed, a rich, warm sound that filled the car. "Earth to Patty," she said, reaching over to tickle his side. Pat yelped, squirming in his seat as laughter bubbled up inside him. "Stop. Jen, I swear. You used to love it when I tickled you," she said, her fingers dancing along his ribs. "Admit it." Pat laughed, swatting her hand away. "Stop it. Uncle. You win." Jennifer grinned, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "That's what I thought." The drive to Jennifer's house took 20 minutes. She sped through yellow lights, took corners a little too sharply, and talked non-stop about her plans for their time together. Pat tried to focus on her words, but his mind kept wandering, to the way her dress hugged her body, to the scent of her perfume, to the memory of her hands tickling him. "You know," Jennifer said suddenly, her voice softer now, I'm still so mad about what happened with the daycare. Pat turned to look at her, noticing the way her smile faltered for just a second. What happened? He asked cautiously. Jennifer's grip tightened on the steering wheel. They accused me of using unethical practices, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. As if their methods are any better. Punishing kids for acting out? That doesn't teach them anything. My prevention methods worked way better. The kids were happy. The board doesn't know their ass from their elbow, and I'm not the only one who feels that way. Lots of daycares are fed up with them. Bunch of idiots. Pat wasn't entirely sure what she meant by prevention methods, but he didn't press. He could tell the subject was a sore spot, and honestly, he didn't care. He was just happy to be here, with her. They pulled into the driveway of Jennifer's house, a newer build in one of those suburbs where every home looked like it had been stamped out of the same mold. The exterior was a soft beige, with a neatly manicured lawn and a porch light that cast a warm glow over the front door. Jennifer killed the engine and turned to face him, her expression softening. "I'm really glad you're here, Patty," she said, her voice quiet. "I've missed having my kids around." Pat smiled, his heart swelling. "Me too, Jen." Jennifer helped him unload his luggage, her heels clicking against the pavement as she led him up the walkway. The front door swung open, revealing a cozy interior, and the faint scent of baby powder in the air. "Welcome home," she said, stepping aside to let him in. Pat took a deep breath, stepping over the threshold. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Chapter 3: The Daycare Tour. The front door clicked shut behind Pat, sealing him inside Jennifer's world. The air smelled faintly of baby powder and disinfectant, a scent that wrapped around him like a memory. The house was spacious, far larger than he'd expected, with high ceilings and wide hallways. Jennifer had mentioned once that her parents had bought it for her outright with the money from their mineral rights during the fracking boom. Pat's family hadn't been so lucky, but they'd been happy for Jennifer's windfall. They always would say that you can farm good land your whole life and still miss the oil. The entire place was still set up as a daycare. Colorful rugs covered the floors, walls were adorned with alphabet posters and finger-painted masterpieces, and shelves overflowed with stuffed animals, board books, and bins of toys. Pat's eyes darted around, taking it all in, but his gaze snagged on one thing in particular: the diapers. A stack of them sat on a low shelf in the living room, thick and white. His fingers twitched at his sides, itching to reach out and touch them. Jennifer squeezed his hand, pulling him deeper into the room. "Come on, Patty," she said, her voice bright. "Let me give you the tour." Pat barely registered her words. His mind was stuck on the diapers, on the way the plastic crinkled when you moved, on the snug fit he'd always dreamed of. He could almost feel the soft padding against his skin, the security of being wrapped up and taken care of. Jennifer tugged him forward, her grip firm. "Earth to Patty," she teased, her fingers finding his ribs. Pat yelped as she tickled him, doubling over with laughter. "Jen, stop," he gasped, swatting at her hands, but she only laughed and tickled him harder. "You're such a space cadet," she said, grinning as she finally relented. "Now, pay attention. This is the living room. It's where the little ones used to play." Pat tried to focus, but his eyes kept drifting back to the diapers. Jennifer noticed, of course. She always noticed everything. "You like those, huh?" she asked, her tone light, but there was something knowing in her eyes. Pat's face burned. "What? No." Jennifer didn't press. Instead, she tugged him toward the kitchen, her heels clicking against the tile floor. "This is where we'd have snack time," she said, gesturing to a long table surrounded by tiny chairs. "Can I get you a drink, Patty?" Patty wasn't listening. He was staring. In the corner of the kitchen was an adult-sized high chair. Not just any high chair, this one had full restraints. Thick straps for the wrists, ankles, and waist, all attached to a sturdy metal frame. His heart hammered against his ribs as he stared at it, his imagination running wild. He could picture it so clearly, himself, sitting in that chair, wearing nothing but a diaper. Jennifer standing over him, strapping him in, her hands firm and sure. The thought sent a shiver down his spine, a mix of excitement and shame. Jennifer followed his gaze, her expression unreadable. "Oh, that?" she said, her voice casual. "Yeah, I had a few older kids with special needs. They needed a little extra support." Pat swallowed hard, his mouth suddenly dry. He tore his eyes away from the high chair, but the image was burned into his mind. Jennifer watched him for a long moment, her head tilted slightly, as if she could see straight through him. Then, with a soft smile, she turned and led him toward the hallway. "Come on, Patty. There's plenty more to see." Chapter 4: The Basement. Jennifer's fingers tightened around Pat's wrist, yanking him out of the kitchen before he could dwell any longer on the high chair, or the way his pulse had spiked at the thought of being strapped into it. The hem of her dress twirled around her thighs as she moved, the fabric swaying with each step, flashing glimpses of smooth, freckled skin. Pat's face burned as he tried, and failed, to pry his eyes away. "Come on, Patty," Jennifer said, her voice playful but firm. "Lots more to see." The open floor plan made everything feel airy, spacious, like a place where you could breathe. But Pat barely noticed. His mind was still stuck on the high chair, on the way the straps would feel against his wrists, on the way Jennifer's hands would. "Earth to Patty." Jennifer's fingers dug into his ribs, her nails grazing just enough to make him squirm. "Jen." Pat gasped, doubling over as laughter bubbled out of him. "I swear, if you don't stop. Does someone need a visit from the tickle monster?" she growled, her voice dropping into a silly, cartoonish rumble. Pat shrieked, thrashing as she tickled him mercilessly. His legs clenched together, his bladder suddenly screaming at him. "Jen, stop, I'm gonna pee my pants." Jennifer froze, her hands stilling instantly. A slow, knowing smirk spread across her face. "Oh," she cooed, stepping back. "Well, good thing I've got diapers that'll fit you, huh?" Pat's entire body flushed, his heart hammering so hard he could hear it in his ears. He opened his mouth to protest, but no words came out. Jennifer just laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief, and tugged him toward the basement door. The basement was just as big as the first floor, fully finished and carpeted in soft, plush fibers. The walls were painted a soothing light blue, and the space was divided into sections, each one meticulously organized. Pat's breath hitched when he saw the shelves. More diapers. Rows of them. Different brands, different sizes, some so large they had to be meant for bigger kids, Jennifer supplied, her voice casual, as if she were pointing out a particularly nice throw pillow. "I had a few with special needs. Some of them needed extra support." Pat's throat went dry. His fingers twitched at his sides, itching to reach out, to touch, to feel. He could already imagine the sound they'd make if he. Jennifer's fingers found his ribs again, lighter this time, just enough to snap him out of his trance. "You're such a daydreamer," she teased, steering him toward another door. Pat stumbled after her, his mind racing. This was too much. Too perfect. Too real. The next room was decorated like a nap area, soft lighting, a mobile of drifting clouds hanging from the ceiling, and along the walls were cribs. Most of them were a standard baby crib, painted white with little bunny decals on the railing. But one was huge. Big enough for an adult. Big enough for him. And it had restraints. Thick, padded straps at the wrists, ankles, and waist, just like the high chair. Pat's breath caught. He could already imagine it, the snug fit of a diaper, the way the crib's bars would surround him, the way Jennifer's hands would. "Now, I know this isn't ideal," Jennifer said, her tone suddenly serious. She turned to face him, her expression softening. "I don't have a proper guest room yet. But this crib? It's just as good as a bed." Pat swallowed hard, his pulse roaring in his ears. Jennifer tilted her head, her auburn hair spilling over one shoulder. Or, she said, you could always sleep in my bed. With me. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility. Pat's mind reeled. The crib, safe, secure, perfect. Or Jennifer's bed, warm, close, her. Both options sent a thrill through him, equal parts exhilarating and terrifying. Jennifer watched him, her lips curved into a small, knowing smile. Your choice, Patty. Pat opened his mouth. Closed it. He had no idea what to say. He wanted both. Thanks so much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed this week's story and found it relatable, enjoyable, or just a little comforting. Remember, we post new videos every week, so if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. If you found this helpful or know someone who might, don't forget to like the video and share it with your community. Your support means everything and helps us keep creating content just for you. And if you'd like to see sequels, vote on upcoming stories, or even get a custom tale made just for you, check out our Patreon. Every bit of support keeps the magic alive. Until next time, take care and stay true to yourself.